It's a good morning from the very wet UK, northwest Warrington. Happy Wednesday, people. We're here again, and different again is what we do, because that way we keep you interested. Let me know if you're ready to be in the room. I'll get us going. It's video 147 for those that need to keep recording the numbers, although it will be there on the post. Video 147, therefore. It'd be great if you can let me know you're here, because once again I've got the people coming in but no names. That was a strange thing that happened on Friday, and it's happening again today. I don't really understand these things. So, okay, I can see who's coming in. Keep coming in. So I've got Trudy, Lorna, Sarah. Yep. For whatever reason, though, you're not showing up. Anyway, 147, find your Pilates positionings. You need a mat. The workouts that we did yesterday, which was Tuesday, was the strength and endurance, the Sweaty Betty version of life, making you strong and powerful. Today's is the Pilates Repertoire version, which is about alignment, stability, a power that's actually far deeper than that global kind of being able to squat and plank and this, that and the other. We're trying to use the repertoire to find our way into a much greater efficient strength and alignment, stability. The repertoire is Joseph's original, and I'm starting to pitch this at the beginner's level because it's the mats, it's not reformer assisted. So at beginner's level, we're going to work our way through systematically and see if it naturally deals with, just by doing the sequences and the system he designated, see if it actually deals with all of our little niggles and weaknesses. I'm going to sort of get the other camera going, ready for us to move on into the programming. So it is video 147. And it's part 2 of our Pilates repertoire. In terms of your start position, stand and relax. And as you stand and relax into your natural standing posture, in other words, feet are parallel, equal spread of load from the toes to the outsides of the feet to the heels. Your breath is going to already take you into a core connection and adapt the pelvic area. So if you know that you're a naturally tucky under bottom person, sway back, then organise your pelvis and the lordotic, make sure that you've got that kind of gentle pelvic tilt, not by squeezing your bottoms out. All right, the workout will start with the gentle warm-up, and the way I want you to think about this warm-up is, if you're relying on the reformer, imagine your heels are on the foot bar. And apart from that, here we go. Inhale into your squat and breath out, pushing up. So there's the lowering down and coming back up. The calibrating of your breathing now is all this is about, really. The pelvis connecting to the leg power connecting to the pelvic stability. The inhale as you lower down into your squat, collarbones are wide open, your upper back feels gently connected through the mid-rhomboid, mid-traps, and the movement needs to be as smooth as if you were on the reformer lying down. Obviously we're not lying down, and therefore there's far more load going on through our legs, as well as the primary requirement that we're pelvically trunk stable. Get your breathing going. Remember, the breathing of all of the Pilates work is the best mindfulness type, calming element that you could take and add to your well-being during this lockdown. I'll say that more succinctly. Do the breathing because it will help the mind and help you deal with all sorts of other things that you maybe would rather weren't happening. Okay. We've done this last one in parallel, that's the different footworks, tracking the body. You're then going to take your heels as though they're at the opposite end of either end of the foot bar, and this is where we do the turnout one. In the turnout position, once you've done 2 or 3, you can see if you can actually allow the posture to be a little bit more upright in this moment. The rules would be, as you go down and up, you have to take the knees wide. If you need to hinge at the hip more than you can stay upright, that's fine. I'm not asking you to be flat backed. I just gave you an option of not quite being as hinged as you would be when we do the traditional squat. The load as you slide down is the inhale, and the exhale, you push the load upwards, pushing through the heels and the outsides of the feet. Inhale, the knees track over the centre of the foot, and the breath out, you come back up. In the opening moments when you're on the reformer, or when you're not, when you're doing this, are about making sense of alignment, of symmetry, equal load from left to right, equal connection through the abdominal breath out, of both sides through the pelvic area. Inhaling, pulling the knees wide to create the movement, breathing out, pressing the bar away, pressing the ground away. And on this one, we're going to stay, so often on the reformer, we'll come down so far, and we'll do what we call inner range or end range work. So inhaling down and up. Remember, this isn't a pulse, it's a push and pull. Use your mind to go deeply into the body to keep the breathing muscles working. Inhaling and exhaling. You keep your knees pulling wide over the second to third toe, and you're aware that the side of the bottom's working. There's nothing gripping in the back. Your back is neutral. Your ribcage breath is connecting your frontal support for the spine. And we're waking up the muscle to the inside of the knee just here, and the outside stabilising sequence for the knee joint and for the hip. Okay, people, and you'll slowly push all the way up. We'll take you then to the equivalent of a single leg workout. So we're taking this from standing with feet together, find a squat, and simply reach one leg backwards, doesn't matter which one it is, and that's that diagonal lunge shape. This moment here is about you prioritising one leg above the other. The pelvis, therefore, having to stabilise as you bend the front leg and extend. Bending front and back leg, hinge at the hip, grounding yourself, pulling and pushing with this front leg, the hamstring glute working, pelvic stability paramount. You're aiming to keep your pelvis level from left to right as you go down and back up. Just do two more. I'm waking up the global stability system before we go down to the ground. Last time. And pull your leg up. Go back to parallel hinge at the hip, activated through the trunk and the glutes. Step the leg back. Check where your load is, and same again. So equivalent of scooter, come lunge. Don't be afraid of putting your fingertips to your hip bones as you crouch backwards, both legs bending. The heel is to the ceiling on that back leg, and the heel to the ground on this front leg. The hamstring wants to lengthen and tighten here, and then push away with power. You're taking more load through your front than your back leg, and the heel has to, on that back foot, remain to the ceiling. Inhaling, the back leg is lighter than the front leg, the power of pulling and pushing coming through this leg here. Inhaling and exhaling. You've just got one more, and then up to stand. Okay, from there, we're ready to do a squat into a roll down, where we'll actually start our sequence of proper Pilates repertoire. Find the squat, inhaling. Let the arms, head, neck and shoulders hang as you breath out. Forwards bend you. Experience your spine going down, down, down. Stay. Have a huge inhale, legs are bent, but your heels are grounded at this point. And then start to pick at your heels, bend your knees, and find yourself into all fours. In the hands and knees position, spread your fingers. This is the start of stability. The interesting thing is people have had the biggest comments about our single shoulder work, like side plank, all the sides, to be honest, where it's not both, when you're not kind of finding the ground with all arms and all legs. So this is how we start to stabilise. First of all, find yourself into your proper hands and knees, as in everything's level, you're a box shape. Exhaling then, use the first breath to travel through the spine, rounding it systematically from tailbone to skull, shoulders away from the neck and biceps spun forwards. Breathe into this round back. You must use your breath as you send the pelvic position through its range, pulling the ground under you with your hands as you push the crown of the head to the ceiling, and huge inhale here. Exhaling then, you've got to use your breath. Pelvic floor, trans wall and roll. When I talked on Zoom last night, I just I'm very aware some people through tiredness simply bend and extend. The genius here is that your movement is led by the breathing, whether it's an inhale or an exhale, because that properly changes you. That's the whole purpose of the system. Next time you find yourself into your all fours, long line, neutral, straight back, whatever you want to see it as, we're ready to work. You're going to take your right leg out and take your left arm out, and then pull back to a touch. Breathe in, breathe out, reach, inhale and touch. You want to touch the knee to the ground with it staying the same side. This is the start of single shoulder stability, and therefore pelvic stability, because as one leg moves and the opposite arm moves, your body has to respond in a diagonal connection. The biggest weakness we have in us is being able to hold our body weight with one limb and be stable, or the other limb, as in arms or legs. People, you reach on the breath out, you return on the breath in, one more with this same side, and then come back to base. Ready to exchange, exhale, shrink, hollow, crown of the head reaches. Take the leg out, make it straight and strong, and take the arm out. Now switch the breath, breathe out, pull to a tap, breathe in and reach. On this move of 4 point, you can call it Superman, you can call it bird dog, whatever it is, it's that the pelvic stability system is in place, and you can go from an armpit on one side of the body to the pelvis on the other side as the limb freely moves, breathing and returning. Nothing's happening to the back. I'm balanced and stable, physically if not mentally. Last time, and return. Sticking with this then. We're going to go back to the first leg. It's going to reach out, and so is the arm. Now breathe out and pull the knee under you towards the navel, and pull your forearm, touch the knee, breathe in and reach to lengthen the posture. Exhaling, don't let anything except the rib cage and maybe a bit of the lower back bend, and inhale and float. Breathe out, forearm to knee, breathe in. You can see, can't you, that the arm that's grounded, the armpit, you're building strength. Now if it's too intense, just do the leg and dominate with, obviously if it's the right leg, it's the right armpit, but if you can do it without being into your back, with the arm and the leg, that's the desire. Ready to change sides, set it all up. Stretch out the leg, stretch out the arm. Breath out, pull your forearm, breath in and reach. You're aiming to move the limbs without affecting the spine. The front muscles shrinking to pull in and extend out. Pelvic stability, left to right stays level, and stop the elbow from locking out, which is what I saw happening. Obviously when I can't see you every week in the studio, I have to be more mindful of giving you those cues, and I think you know when you're doing it, you just need reminded to think. Okay, we're still on all fours, so you're building up that strength. You can see how this works, can't you? Next position then, keeping the elbow crease spun forwards as it were, back to the first leg again. This time, single leg kick. Your leg's pointed, it's then going to flex at the heel and kick, kick, and then point. That's the simplest way to teach this. Leg is reaching, you go kick, kick. So it's the knee joint that bends, and the thigh bone, in theory, stays where it is. Because my right leg's in the air, my right armpit, side of the body is working harder, as is my left hip. Again, the essence of this move is pelvic stability. You should feel the hamstrings working for you, and you could even take one arm away to evidence the balance and stability that's going on, which is all frontal, nothing in the spine. Last time, 1, 2, and reach it away and coming in. Ready for the other side. Centre the pelvic connection with the breath out. Stretch your leg and get it to the height, hopefully, of your pelvis or wherever you can get the hamstring to work for you. You've got your kick, kick and push. The hardest moment here is keeping the pelvic connection. You've got to get the sense of pushing the ground away. Okay, now I'm aware that my left side is more tight at the front of the hip, so I can't let my thigh lift as high. Now the aim would be, as Joseph did, kind of planned it, that as I work at these exercises day in, day out, it will correct that pelvic asymmetry. Okay, 1, 2, and as I reach away, that's my longest line. Kick, kick, reach away. Let's do one more. When you finish this one, go and stretch it right out. Stretch it, stretch it, stretch it, and pull back in. And then finally, to complete the all fours stability sequence, you're going back to that first leg, heels to the ceiling, and we've got the hamstring float down and up. Learn to push with the armpit and pull the belly in, breathing out to go up, breathing in and back down. Breath out. So what is happening in this moment? If you're doing it as I'm describing, if you keep in connection with the floor, with the breath out, the hands, the shin that's down, and then the range of movement through the back leg, your pelvic position is being reorganised. Now stay, just stay there, breathe in and out. Imagine the foot flat to the ceiling. Think of the bum to the back of the thigh. Think of the front of the hip open. But keep breathing and breathing and return that foot down. Setting out the other leg. Heels to the ceiling. Keep your core, shrink the tongue, and then lower down till it touches, because that's evidence you haven't twisted, and push up. Inhaling, so it's my left leg. I'm grounding myself through the left hand armpit oblique, pushing out with the outside of my finger area, pulling my bicep forwards as I work this leg into extension at the hip and contraction at the hamstring, the back of it. And again, the evidence that I'm tighter on my left is that I don't get the same range, but you know what? This will improve my range. Because as I get stronger with the hamstring glute connect and the obliques here, the hip will reorganise itself. Last time, and let that go. From there, you're going straight to your tummy, onto your front. Just a reminder that what we're doing in these videos for this series is trying to prove by doing that we can reorganise and come away from injuries and niggles just simply by following the repertoire. So that's what's happening right now. In line on your front then, we're going straight into your swim prep. So your shoulder blades draw down the back. My hands are one on top of the other like a pillow, fingers on top of fingers as it were. And then I know where my hands should be because my forehead, my nose is just about where my thumbs are, and I'm hovering my face, which is square. Exhale and pubic bone imprint. Your legs are very parallel and you can feel the end of the mat. Let the left leg lift, keep the pubic bone dominant, and then exchange legs. Inhaling and exhaling. Your rib cage breath is constantly contracting you. Inhaling and exhaling. And then pick up the pace, in and out. And it's the thighs that are working. The legs aren't kicking up and down because the pelvis is staying true. I get the tap against the ground to give me my feedback that I've got the right amount of movement, and I'm definitely lowering and lifting. Inhaling and exhaling. Nothing's happening to my lower back. My shoulders are stable, and I'm cueing my thighs to move my feet, my lower limbs. Okay, people, and let that go. From there, pull your heels together and flex at your ankle. My thighs have slightly come away from each other, just fractionally, not massively. I'm going back to reassure legs and spine. This is called heel squeeze prone. Pubic bone is dominant. Hip bones aren't dominant, okay, so hip bones I can feel both level. Breath out then, squeeze through the heels and breath in, come back down. The movement, as you engage your lower abdominals and reach the thighs away from you, pulling the heels together and gently pressing against the ground with your forearms. It's not that you're going to move anywhere, you want the feel for being grounded. Keep your legs bent and keep your heels flat to ceiling, feet flat to ceiling. Breath out, respond, core connect. Thighs lifting and lowering. So right into the sides of the bottom here, nothing into the sacrum is being activated and your hip is being stretched by working through the hamstring and the glutes. Anyone who's lordotic, this is really demanding not to go into your lordosis, and you bendy-wendy flat backs, it'd be very, very demanding not to just let the whole of the pelvis move. Okay people, that was your last one. Reach the legs away. Now reach your arms forwards. We're going for the swim. Shrink the tongue. Let the right leg lift and the left arm lift, and then slowly exchange. Inhale, exhale, exchange. The relationship between the back of the thigh and the glutes, the pelvic neutral, and then you're going to swim across the channel. Inhaling and exhaling. Remember, it's not the feet moving, it's the thighs moving, and it's usually demanding. If you're finding it hard on the shoulder, take your arms by your sides as though you're in darts, or reach them out sideways, whichever way. Get it all happening here and not here. 2 more, 1 more, and ease that off. Okay folks, take yourself up. We're going on to lying on your back. I've got a crib sheet here because I want to keep the exact sequence. I'm going to send it to you as well. So your next position's a 100 position. So we do the very opposite. You can use your head cushion. You've just woken up everything in what we call the posterior chain. You're now going to ease everything into deep connection through the front of you. Walk your heels under your knees, catch your breath, or maybe that's just me because I'm talking and breathing and moving, and reach your arms forwards. Go back to the knowledge of your breath, and remember that the priority is breathing. It's not about rolling through exercises rampantly, it's about breathing and finding the next position. In the next position then, the inhale through the nose, the chin's already nodded in, and the breath out, allowing the rib cage to find itself imprinting and closing the space behind you. Don't force this to happen. Give yourself the time to find it. The whole element of Pilates is meant to be a flow. As you go from one position to the next, the breath as you set the position up becomes your grounding, your connection, allowing you to flow into different moves. On my next breathing out then, I feel the pelvic imprint. In other words, my hip bones are drawn down, my waistband is flat, and I'm going to gently roll up through the head, neck and shoulders. Shoulder blades only are off the floor. Bring one leg, then the second leg up. Pull the thighs together and keep the chin nodded in. Allow your arms to relax forwards, inhaling and exhaling. If you're unsure about staying up there because you're stiff in the back, roll down, hold on to the back of the thighs and roll up in very much the same way as I've always educated you. The true move is here with a very relaxed shoulder and the ability to breathe really easily in and out. We're going to add to this. On the breath out, your legs are going to reach, but on your breath in, they're going to pull back in again. Keep your nose to your navel. Keep the chin drawn in and the back of the neck long. I remind again, if it's too intense, head down and head up. Inhaling, your head can go down as your knees bend, keeping the chin in, exhaling. Otherwise, Got 4 more here, making the lengthened breath connect you into an imprint. Gone deep pelvic imprint as you extend, thighs tight together. 2 more. And bend the legs, put the head down. Next position is going to be leg circles. Are you ready? Breath out, rolling up. Now again, when I saw this yesterday, it was quite interesting. The leg circles looked shocking. Keep the hands onto the thighs. So your legs are straight. The exhale is pull the legs together and pull them to the ceiling. Inhale, pull them apart. I am maintaining my imprint. Do me 2 more. I'm heavy. Equally both sides of the back of the pelvis. Do me 1 more. And place your head down. We're going to do a series of circles the other direction. Breathe out, curl up. And then go down, come out sideways and back up. And down. Exhale, always pull the legs back up. Inhaling away far enough to maintain the imprint, so not so far that you can't. Thigh bones moving within a stable pelvis. You've got 2 more. See how controlled the circle can be. Last time. And coming back down. Okay. The next position is a natural flow. This is beginners, just so you know. The next position is called rolling up. Now, in the early morning, it's harder to do than I did last night in the evening, but full roll up goes, arms behind the head. Pull your arms forwards and hoik yourself up for the first one. Okay, people, because it is the first one, I'm going to take us down by degrees now. So exhale, roll down, breathe in, exhale, and back up. Your body, your spine, because of the perfect system of rehydrating during the evening, during the night time, when you're resting, it doesn't have the same mobility, okay? So I'm going to use the kind of modified version of roll up and roll down as you get your spine going. You can actually have your legs bent. If you feel as though you want to try the full roll up again, inhaling and exhale, up you go and reach. Inhaling to imprint and roll down, exhaling, and yes, there's a hoik and reach. As long as there's nothing pulling on your back, you're fine. If it feels as though it's not great for you, I'm going to do 1 more, simply because that's called being very lazy, to be honest. But you've done roll up, roll down, however awkward. The interesting thing for you would be, try it later in the day, after 4 o'clock, and you'll find you're amazing at it, or better than you were otherwise would be. So you've done full roll up, roll down, and you should be roll down, forgive me, I got into teaching that move, or using that move as just a means of momentum, is probably more accurate. Lying on your back again then, get those heels right under the knees. You're breathing in and out, back of the skull heavy. Your hip is going to lift and lower. You're staying in neutral at this point. Just let the hip lift and inhale, lower. Breath out, up it goes. Breath in, down it goes. Lift and lower. The hip is opening at the hip bone. If you're naturally bendy, you might find you can push your knees further forwards as you go up. Go a bit higher, higher, higher. Right onto your shoulder blades. Now exhaling, keep the heels into the ground and let the ribcage spine roll you down. You're going up as though it's a bridge, which is the hip lift, opening the hip, pushing your knees forwards, and the breathing out separates out the spine as you flow down. You're now into spinal mobilization. Hip lift, exhaling, spinal roll. We're going into giant steps, which means you'll lift and 1 leg goes to tabletop and lower. Heel to the ground, lift, down, plant the heel, plant the pelvis and lift. Use your breath out, make sure you definitely ground before you do the giant step up and down. The sequence here, as long as you find your core connection, would be that the single leg activation again, you're getting the chance to challenge your pelvis, to stabilise. It's the hamstring and glute that allows this process. Just do me one more as you lift and you lower. Okay, folks, you're going to come back up as we do our rolling like a ball. We've done extension and now we're into flexion again. That's that forwards roll. Cueing you into this then, pull your toes back. I'm sat on the back of my sit bones. My toes are drawn back as my knees are level. I feel comfortable here. Now, if you've got any osteoporosis, any bone issues going on, you may not want to do the full rolling like a ball part of this sequence. What I'm demonstrating now with my hands behind my pelvis is a kind of adaptation where you get the same experience of keeping your obliques short, keep your nose pointing down. It's as though your nose follows down. I'm on tiptoes, exhaling and inhaling. So I can't say that enough. If you can't roll because of spinal issues or a huge lordosis, kyphosis thing going on, or you have bone density issues, you'll know who you are. You'll have been prescribed something. Don't do this next part, which is where you balance and pull your shins in and your nose in. Okay, you happy with that balance? You're a ball shape. On the inhale, start to pelvic tilt and roll, and the exhale, back to the balance. Inhaling, notice whether or not you start to articulate in a kind of 360-degree area. I can feel my obliques working as I inhale and exhale. Wait for the inhale, the slow motion roll. You're pulling against your shins, okay, and your core oblique stays. It takes absolute mind-body. You can't chatter through it really. And let that go. Again, my other issue with teaching some of the true Pilates moves that are massively beneficial are that some people it really isn't appropriate for you. Please know who you are, and if in doubt, ask me and give me reasons why you might be unsure. Okay, done rolling like a ball. So getting my notes again. You're now ready for your single leg stretch. You need your head cushion. This is like an abdominal series, this moment here. You've done the rounding of the spine, it should feel lovely and freer. Exhaling then, curl up and pull your knee nearest the screen to you, having your hand to the outside ankle and your other hand onto the shin. You're going to inhale and go 1, 2, exchange, exhale, go 1, 2, exchange, inhaling, exhaling. Now I'm curled up the whole way through, yeah? Which means my obliques are working continuously. This is single leg stretch. You're stretching through the front of the hip as your leg extends and you pull the other leg in. Your pelvis stays fundamentally still as your legs power, mobilising and flowing against a strong pull. Okay, people? Pull both knees into your chest, let your head go down. Allow your head to go from one side to the other. Now this sequence of moves, there are 5 of them in reality, but we're doing 4 today. You wouldn't have a break between them. But because you're learning them, I want to get to this stage where we can just go 1, 2, 3, or 4 moves through the whole repertoire. But right now, you've had a relief. We're going to get the obliques involved. So keep your right leg in and your left leg out. Both hands behind the head and rotate, but stay curled up. On the breath out, the legs go. On the breath in, you come through centre, and the breath out, the other leg goes. Inhale, centre, staying curled up. Exhale, rotation. It's crisscross, so you're crossing over the main line of the body. Inhale, exhale. You're ending up on the corner of the scapula of the side that you cross over to. You can either keep your elbows wide, although I think you get a better reality by pulling your elbows in. No rolling hips, only oblique work, and pull your knees in. Again, we would go straight into the next exercise, which is known as double leg kick. If you're tired, stop now, have a rest and join us in a moment. Otherwise, back to 100 position legs, curl up, double leg stretch, sorry, not double leg kick. You start here, you imagine you've got a hat on, take the hat off the head and stretch the legs away, circle your arms and come back. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhale, hat off the head. Do not let your shoulder blades roll down. Keep the chin drawn in, nose to navel. Inhale. Last two. Inner thighs tight together. Last one. And down you go. Deep abdominal work. Now, finally, our scissors. And for this one, you reach for the ankle. You've got the push and pull. Both legs do 1, 2. Your shoulders have rolled up and off. And exhale. Inhale, start to exchange. Exhale, pull, pull. A gentle encouragement. Keep your chin drawn in. Nose pointing to navel. This is basic repertoire, and it reorganises the muscles that make up your pelvis to thigh and strengthens obviously the deep abdominals, obliques, tracking. One more, and pull those knees in. Again, allow the head to just rock side to side. And then our final sequence. So it would appear I can get through a very similar amount to what I did on Zoom when I was seeing people. Your final sequence is your leg kick. The side leg kick, true position at beginner's level, is you're on your elbow, okay, without affecting your shoulder. I've got my armpit to pelvis lined up with the edge of the mat, and then the legs are forwards. This again, it's hinting at single shoulder stabilisation and pelvic stability, which is where we're weakest. Your other hand in theory is behind the head here. Now the start of the move, your top leg lifts off. It's then going to pull forwards, keeping the hips still. It'll do a kick, kick. You'll point your toe and you'll drive it behind you, at which point you'll elevate off the mat, pulling against the elbow, and then as you lower and lay this side of the trunk down, you go kick, kick. Inhale to reach up and off and the hip goes backwards. And exhaling. Inhale, imagine you're drawing the leg through something solid. And if you can't let the waist lift, don't worry. What matters is that this isn't shoulder-esque. If it is shoulder-esque, you need to go back down to a more traditional position, learning to move just the leg inside lying. The people that need this the most find this the most awkward. Never give up on something that you feel is really intense or wobbly for you. It suggests that your lateral stability and strength sequence is impaired. So other muscles are being more dominant and they're not allowing the right muscles to do the job. This is your last one. And bring both legs into the alignment. Now lying down in a straight line. Make sure your legs aren't behind you. And for the lordotics in the room, pelvic tilt. Hand in place and point the toe, lift and lower. Inhaling and exhaling. I don't need to take time over this. This is something you should understand to do. And this really, to be honest, should be done at the same kind of pace. This is an example of how every movement should flow. However hard it is, it should feel this easy. That sense of moving within a stable joint, using the breathing muscles to core connect. Next one's the last one. And we take it to double legs. Have your hand here if you need to. As you point and flex. Inhaling, almost as though you're stirring your thigh bone within the pelvis. The pelvis stays true, and no rock and rolling. If you're feeling any of this in the lower back or in the sacroiliac area, then you're not finding your breathing muscles to connect to the core. This is the last one, and lowering down. Now put the foot in front. That's the top leg, foot in front. Flex on the underneath leg, don't roll back at the hip as you let your underneath leg lift. And lift. These side series, if you can get sorted with it, which we can because we're here for so long, it will make you stronger in everything to do with side plank, side stability work. And it's a fantastic way of adding more support from muscles that become really quite dormant in our bodies just through lack of exposure. You've got the lift and lower, these are your adductors working for you. Lift and lower. One more, lift and lower. We're going to have a final look at the hip hitch, so lift the top leg up, make sure you haven't rolled backwards. Remember how we pull the hip to the ribs. My top leg's staying up, my hand's going to be here. Exhale then and use the adductors that you've just trained to lift and lower. Lower the top leg down again. It goes up, you draw, suck it up into your rib cage, bring the underneath leg up and take them both down again. Just two more. One, hip hitch. It leads eventually to something really wonderful, but there's no way we can't do that just now. Ultimately leads to a mermaid shape. My aim is that by forcing ourselves, me included, to go through some very basic principles of Pilates repertoire, that we'll find ourselves doing more than we ever did before. Are you ready for the other side? All we can do is spin over, and we've probably got 5 minutes left. So here you're going again. You're lying on your side, lined up with the back of the mat. You know where your elbow is, your armpit, but there's no pressure in the neck or the shoulders per se. And now you hinge at the hip to get yourself into legs diagonally forwards. Top leg lifts, and we go 1, 2, inhale, and lifting your waist up. Go, inhale, 1, 2, exhaling, it actually is forwards, inhale is backwards. Exhaling, inhale, expand, and the aim of lifting the waist as you extend the hip is really what this is all about. The other thing is that your underneath leg should be absolutely stable and involved. Again, when I saw this last night on Zoom, which will be representative of everyone doing this, the underneath leg was flaccid, bent. It was as though you were only thinking of your top leg. So 1, 2, and up with the side if you can. And 1, 2, and up with the side, mobilising, stabilising, 1, 2, up with the side, and then straighten both legs and reaching into your sideline balance. Make sure your feet aren't behind you, legs aren't behind you, and if you're uncomfortable here, remember, the same rules apply. You can have your head cushion. I should have said that the first time round. It's partly because the more I do it, the more comfortable I get, really. Anyway, cough to clear the chest. From here then, top leg lifts and lowers. Tune into how it's almost the breath that lifts the leg and lowers the leg. And the breath has it so easy because it just finds that pelvic stability as you're inhaling and exhaling, inhaling up and exhaling. Thigh bone moving within the pelvis. And 2 more. 1 more. And let that go. Both legs then. Up, toes pointing, and down. Core centre, the legs don't lift very high. The pelvic shape stays absolutely true. You lengthen the legs away, lifting and lowering. Stirring the thigh bones within a stable pelvis, finding your lower abs and your waist muscles in a pleasant way. Inhaling to lengthening, exhaling, and then leaving the legs down. Finally, top leg comes to here. Your knees up, your underneath leg lifts and lowers. Don't roll over for this one. It's probably quite hard to keep the pelvis stacked left to right. I've got such a different sensation when I go from one side to the other. So my left side, noticing all sorts of differences, but I know this therefore is what I need. Last two, adductor work, that's the inner thigh. Last one, and stretching the legs out, finally into hip hitch. That's where we shorten the waist, the top leg lifts. You draw the hip bone to you and the underneath leg joins, and down you go. Your top leg lifts and you hitch. Shrinkage, waist closure be on the underneath side, underneath leg, and then down you go. Lengthen, shorten, and then pull on your underneath thigh. Don't roll the hips backwards, which I'm fairly certain tends to happen. One, pull on that hip bone, underneath leg, inner thighs tight. We've got one more. The whole area here, top of the crest of the iliac, is where you're getting the feedback the most. Inner thigh, and allow that to be. Okay folks, I'm very aware that that's all we have time for, and again this is interesting for me. That was 45 minutes, which I don't believe I can do more than for those who need this the most. I know you're working as well as homeschooling, etc. From there then, all you need to do is take your bottom back to your heels, let your forearms go down, and give yourselves the time. You've done 45 minutes, stay there, breathing deeply in and out, allowing every system that you've activated, breath being dominant and kind of every muscle otherwise, to feel as though it becomes more relaxed, as though you imagine all your cells, every part of you just expanding and releasing tension. So you can stay there taking several more breaths. I'm finishing this video off. You need to feed back to me if you didn't get what you wanted from it, or if you found elements hard. It helps me gauge where you are, and it helps us understand where in the repertoire, the true repertoire, we need to head. All right, give me your questions. I'm more than happy to ask and actually want to help you find a true connection to yourself through Pilates. Stay well and stay in. Bye for now. It's wet out there anyway.